Wolf Pack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Rotary, RotaryJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here with my first solo best ball stream of the season. Me and the Truth have gotten live quite a few times here, but I figured he's busy this morning. I want to see you guys as much as I can before school starts, so I am diving in right now to a solo stream and excited to just chat with some research I did last night. Not that it's going to be this heavy. I love the free-flowing questions, all that good stuff that we'll get going here as well. But I did read Mike Leone's, one of the best ball pieces you can read in the game. His best ball manifesto took a ton away from that. So I do want to start talking a little bit about what I might have learned, how I might be changing my strategy up. Looks like we do have the fourth pick here. Not bad. Like to see that. I love being in the top four. Getting one of those elite big four receivers looks great to me. So I'm excited to draft this one, Wolfpack. We'll talk about the ideal team from the 4 slot. It's going to be a tricky debate here because oftentimes Christian McCaffrey will fall in redrafts. Him and Jefferson right up there 1-2, and I often flip-flop. Love CMC and redraft, but given the market on these things, the wide receiver avalanche is the term the industry uses here. They fly off the board, in which case I may want to consider getting into that elite receiver pool. I love Cooper Kupp at this range. What if he becomes, he's back-to-back years as the wide receiver 1 in points per game, can be one of those elite edges. So that's kind of who I'm queuing up if I have the 4th pick, especially in a best ball draft, is Cooper Kupp. He might go ahead of me, and maybe we pivot to Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. In Leone's research, there's a great piece that something I've done often is go just single Travis Kelce, because once you have him, single QB is tough, hero QB, but if you go just Travis Kelce, if he gets hurt, you're probably, anyways, whether you have backups or not, you're not going to be winning your thing. He's going to be your tight end 1 every single week, so it allows you to have that extra running back receiver, most likely where you want to go there, 3 quarterbacks, something of that nature. I do like those solo Travis Kelce builds, and that was proven to be a optimum strategy by Leone there. So I'm going to go Cooper Kupp here. As I was talking about, rejoins practice today, all the better. Good vibes on him. Let's avoid getting hit with the wide receiver avalanche here. Looks like we got a couple legends in this one too. Pete Overzet's in the stream there. I usually get to stream in with him every year. I always enjoy that, but it's been a busy, as most of you know, wedding, honeymoon, all that. So I haven't had the chance to really link up with a bunch of the guys I like to have on and do drafts with. So I guess now I get in with Pete this time. He gets McCaffrey there after the 4 receivers go in front of him. So I can't pass up McCaffrey at 5 at that spot. One thing I do like about Kupp, and one part of the research that I have been starting to dive into a bit that Leone really made clear. So one thing I've really focused on early in the offseason is finding those ADP values. Who do I want to keep gaining on? He talks a lot about draft capital, ADP values, how you kind of build this combination of profile with how much are you spending on a player and how much value are you gaining on their ADP when you buy them there. Obviously, the biggest gains can be made in the later rounds, but lots of interesting facts. Like, for example, I was getting Joe Mixon. I have 40% almost Joe Mixon, insane about when he was going beyond pick 50, sometimes at pick 60. I got him at pick 90 in a really, really early draft. So gaining on ADP value is key. But one thing I haven't been doing much of is really focusing in on those week 17 stacks. Now, I definitely had him in mind. I've been studying the schedule, but to me, when reading his best ball manifesto, so much of it was how crucial playoff stacking, especially week 17 stacking, is for optimizing your expected value of your team. That's pretty obvious. Almost all the money is in there. And now that the regular season prizes are better, it's not as imperative. You have to get into the dance for it to matter. But his strategy, his really article really did break down. Like, you can balance that idea of gaining ADP capital while also playing into your playoff stacks, ideally stacking about 6 total players to your 2 QBs. It doesn't have to be crazy stacks. I don't have to go crazy and draft every single Ram. Now, I do like Tyler Higbee. I like Stafford late buy and back in a rebound year at their prices. That's a narrative I am absolutely getting into. But I also I love the Giants this year, and I think they're very undervalued. That's their week 17 matchup. That's a team I've been heavily targeting this season so far. So now this kind of sets up that Giants narrative as well for me. So I really like the start to this build. Now we got to get back to our pick. Definitely get all your questions in. I do like pairing it with Derrick Henry. You got that week 17 matchup with the Texans, who he just routinely steamrolls. So I'm gonna go with that. I know one big other thing. So I know I'm talking a bunch of and I'm trying to boil down a really complex article. I highly recommend all of you read that article by Leone, the Best Ball Manifesto at Establish the Run. I'm a subscriber there. I don't know if it's paywalled or not, or if they have that one up there for free. Regardless, it's definitely well worth subscribing to Establish the Run, in my opinion, to the run by two of the best guys in Silva and Levitin, and then just their whole staff below them, all studs, including Leone, best ball monster there. So I really recommend reading that, making your own takeaways. But something he did show is spending heavy at running back early had really, really disastrous results last year. That's why my results probably were not nearly as well as I was hoping for. I was big into an Eckler Kamara start or Dalvin Cook, and I was big into the running back. That's typically been my motto over the years. Love the bell cows. It's always, if you can get a 3 running back monster in redraft, I always was going after that. It's a different NFL nowadays, though. There's definitely every season the backup running backs making some big noise in the playoff weeks when it matters most. And you get these just alpha receivers and these 30-point QB hogs. It's tough to pass them up. Now, this team right here looks like there could be both Mahomes and Josh Allen potentially following me. I also do love Mark Andrews at this spot as well. Could set up. Lamar Jackson wouldn't fall to me on the way back. But I don't hate getting one of these elite QBs. Josh Allen doesn't necessarily make sense with this team build so far, but he's such a big edge. Oh, this is a tricky one. I don't have a ton of Andrews, though, and that scares me that this offense could just start going completely bananas. So I'm going to go Mark Andrews. I have a bunch of Josh Allen so far. I'm trying to set up this Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford later stack here. So normally in most drafts, I probably would have pulled the trigger on Josh Allen there. The fact that I'll pull up the board here. So through 3 rounds, I know some of this might be podcast audio too. Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews. Really enjoying that build right here. And now I got to figure out, I want to keep building towards. So the Andrews, they got week 17. The Dolphins, that could be an interesting team to go after. I love the running back values late there. Deebo Samuel goes next. Nice pick by Pete. Big fan of Deebo. And a solid rebound coming there. He's been one of my highest owned 3rd rounder so far. And then, but yeah, so Mark Andrews, a tight end I don't have a ton of exposure to. Someone I do want to bump that up. I buy this offense, buying, rebounding. I love getting Odell. He's probably going to be gone at 100. Maybe I can sneak Odell in there. We'll see. But definitely building towards a Giants Rams stack here. Maybe some Dolphins and Ravens as well. You got the Texans on the other side of that. This can be just a Derrick Henry onslaught, 200-yard type of game. If I'm building to, again, week 17 right now is what I'm looking at as part of the big research, is optimizing for that week while still trying to pluck some nice values as they come to you. I do expect this definitely, you see a lot of shields here. A lot of people that are well-versed in the best ball game, probably a lot better than me at it. It is a very heavy, wide receiver heavy market, as you guys can see here. Chris Spags, another guy I love listening to. So if you're tuned into me, definitely check out Pete Overzet and Chris Spags. Those are two of the best ball minds I personally enjoy watching if you're trying to research and up your game. But again, I'll definitely keep answering questions, trying to poke back and forth between the stream and comments and questions. Get them on in. Let me know. But I'm just going to try to talk about, again, what I learned through Leone's piece last night. So optimizing for the playoffs, that week 17 has such a big impact on your expected value of your team, how much money it could potentially yield you. So I started to dive into that week 17 research based on my teams. I have a lot of 49ers. I think they're going too cheap. I love Brock Purdy. So they face the Commanders. I also like Bieniemy. Howell looking very legit last night. So that's an offense I don't mind going after those 2 game stacks there. I imagine that's what Pete's going to be after with the Commanders, 49ers. He's got a couple 49ers on his team already. So imagine he'll be going after Purdy pretty hard. I like getting Dotson now. We saw that injury to McLaurin. No clue yet how serious that's going to be. But I think that's a team could go after. I have a lot of Green Bay, Minnesota. I think that's going to be a potential week 17 winner, something to consider there. So, yeah, definitely just testing out some new strategies here, trying to, again, get my exposure up to Mark Andrews in that Ravens offense. I've not had a ton selected there. I do think there was a great article published recently about, I love the early quarterbacks and how plus they were to advancing last year, but a lot of great research is being done right now about how it wasn't necessarily the best strategy to go after. So we're up next. Again, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews through 3 rounds. I do like Joe Mixon a lot here. spending up at running back, but he's not going to make it back to me. I like Ayuk. So again, spending at receiver has been historically especially last year, was a crucial strategy. Turf toe for Terry McLaurin is the latest update. That's not great. Not thought to be overly serious, but you never like that, getting hurt early for one of your key players. So definitely something to keep on the radar. Not a Hopkins fan, low volume attack. I'm not trying to get all in on this Tennessee offense. Maybe the old veteran has some plays in him. There goes Ayuk. Maybe I do have to become. I definitely need a receiver. I like a Deontay Johnson bounce back, get some pairings within the division there. Could go bully tight end, get a little Darren Waller. I know it's talking about building that Giants. I just am worried that he's not going to get back to me at 69. Now, if he is, I'll definitely go after just 2 elite tight ends and see how that goes. But I didn't want to reach too far on Waller here at 52. Although looking at these receivers, I probably wouldn't have hated that. Deontay goes ahead of me too. Damn. Maybe I do just have to lean into this this Titans team here and hope Hopkins is Hopkins. That's gross to me, though. Yeah. I'll be getting that revenge game against the Texans, right, in Week 17 anyways, so who knows. So part of the golden rule, Hayden Wink's another guy I love reading. He kind of coined this, is getting 4 receivers in your first 7 picks. And receivers are flying off. This is getting ugly here. But ultimately, the next 2 picks, I could still potentially follow that golden rule. I'd be definitely looking at Jahan Dotson now. Did he catch another touchdown last night? Lead stars with 76 yards. Oof. And he's already gone. Maybe I should have looked to him. Oh, no, he didn't go. 73 ADP. That's definitely who I'll be targeting on the next way back. Hopefully he can fall to me. Gabe Davis, there's still definitely receivers I don't hate at this range that can fall to me. I think Mixon, one of my highest drafted players. I was getting him, like I said, at 50 or so. And typically, oftentimes, a good example might be Tank Dell, where I was taking him as my last round pick at every draft. Now he's going 2-3 rounds earlier. So my exposure, I had him almost 50%, has been coming down through these later drafts in this offseason. As you don't want to keep buying into somebody, but with Mixon, I mean, until he gets to like round 3, that's the guy that I can continue to go back to the well on. I know it doesn't really complete or any narratives on my team, but better offensive line than he's ever had. He's kind of my guy at running back. Best offensive line of his career. Least competition, no Samaje Perine. He was top 24 in routes and targets, Samaje Perine. And Mixon had a bunch too, but he could get the most targets, most touchdown ops. There's a lot to love about him here. All righty. So through, again, 5 rounds, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Hopkins. Waller does go to the icon. So he's gone at this point. I do want to get that Daniel Jones run back. Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford. Hope that game just goes bananas in Week 17. I've got a ton of Daniel Jones this year, so I'm definitely trying to start pair more and more Rams within there. So even Cam Akers, I know I already have some decent capital at running back, but if he falls to a couple rounds later, I'll be looking to get some of these receivers for sure, though. Let's hope, Godwin, Dotson, Evans, Marquise Brown. Those are the guys I'm looking for. Maybe Dotson at the top, though. I hate to say it and have it jinxed, but who's going to – I bet Pete's sniping that one with the 49ers correlation. I could definitely see Dotson. And there he goes. Pete wouldn't even get to him anyways. Good pick there. I think his value is going to start creeping up big time. So after this pick, I'll definitely jump back in again. Get any questions in. I'll start to answer those, but I just want to talk a minute about a couple of those big things it seemed that Leone was presenting is the amount of capital at running back. The later you spend it, the less capital you spent. You could have 7 running backs, but they all should have came later. Those builds were significantly higher EV than the ones. I'm going to go Godwin. I think he's getting a little disrespect. He'll play the ADP game, gain some value there. But gaining on ADP value is a big thing, but also that week 17 stacking, getting receivers early. So I'm supposed to have 4 receivers through these rounds. All the ones falling back here, I don't love them. Whereas Cam Akers, I could get that part of my week 17 stack as I get later Giants as part of my team. I'll probably have to get that stack with Danny J. I might have to reach on him here at 100. I doubt he's going to fall. We'll see what the icon does at QB these next couple rounds. He does have Fields already, so he doesn't necessarily have to go Daniel Jones. So that's something to monitor as well. We will see. I had thought about going Christian Kirk, and man, I would have liked had I gone him over Hopkins and then just stack Trevor Lawrence here as a great value. I mean, doesn't do anything for my team, but sheesh, where did Kirk end up going? All right, here's my pick. Oh, so Kirk did go a couple picks before me. I can't believe Lawrence is still sitting here. Cam Akers was the guy I want. I'm just going to scoop up Trevor Lawrence. I don't have any exposure to him. I know it doesn't complete any stacks for me. But 13 picks after ADP. I can't pass that up. So that's going to change the rest of this team. Maybe Evan Ingram becomes a target of mine. That just seemed way too late for Trevor Lawrence, a guy I'm trying to bump my exposure to. I can still play the Daniel Jones game a little bit later and get that week. Or now I could definitely just sit and wait on Matt Stafford 3 rounds later than Daniel Jones even. So definitely some potential value to gain there. I like that. I like Elijah Moore a lot too. So I don't get distracted there. And then, maybe one of these running backs, Sanders, Montgomery. I know it's, again, minus EV to spend early at running back, but I think this year, every year brings a different landscape. And this range of running backs just seems where the value is truly at. Rashad White, I already have a Bucks thing kind of going, so maybe I'm looking at him now too. So I'm just going to queue up some running backs. Imagine most of them go here. I'm going to do some week 17, just dive into real quick. So how do I know this? So Jags get the Panthers, so maybe some run backs from Panthers. Maybe, Miles Sanders won't continue to fall to me, but that could be interesting. I don't hate any of those guys. Mingo, Chark, Thielen late to see if one emerges as the guy for Bryce Young. Tampa Bay, I feel like they got New Orleans. That has like potentially ugly written on it, but if New Orleans offense under Carr, they really look legit. So that's a team I also don't mind going after. The Saints later. You could go after a Kamara, get a week 17 stack there a little bit later. So that's what I'm starting to try to consider. So you get Bucks. I could get Rashad White, kind of go for that team stack. Nothing like a Baker Mayfield led team. But Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if I love the Panthers. That could just be an onslaught game. I just think 13 spots below ADP. It didn't necessarily have a strategic point, but at a certain point, you want to I forget the exact numbers by Leone, but he was showing the more plus ADP you add, the higher percentile you can get into. And that just seemed to me like a no-brainer. It kind of worked out for me that Joe Burrow's team, Chase Higgins, he wasn't going to pass on the Joe Burrow stack there, but that led to him also not wanting to invest too early, the law of diminishing returns. One other thing I wanted to talk about, I don't have like a list, but they just kind of, as they come up naturally, a lot of the talk being, let's say receivers. This is the example. Is the early range. You want to go running a receiver to start, maybe even 3, possibly even 4 receivers, your first 4 picks. Okay. Diminishing returns essentially states, if I explain this correctly, I hope I do. I'm not trying to sound smarter than I actually am. But the more receivers you add on at this point, just bring less and less value. Of course, they're going to bring some value to your team, but you're so stacked already. There's no point in continuing to rack up studs at that position because you've already done a good job of doing that yourself. So Pete, for example, here, he's got 5 early round investments in receivers here. It wouldn't behoove him to do a ton of receivers now. These next rounds. Now, maybe he will. Maybe he'll get up to 8, but this seems to me like a team I'd want to go 7 receivers instead of 8. that eighth one is like really going to make the difference. Maybe gives you a shot to have more active players by week 17 as well. Khalil Herbert, he's rising, but I don't hate him. There goes White. I was hoping for him in the stack there. I mean, I've got Saints, so Mike Thomas. I'll go with Mike Thomas and just talk about this offense. Just, again, that correlation, week 17, I'm trying to really factor that in more often here. I do think taking a stab on Kadarius Toney falling here is interesting. Gibson's one of my highest owned running back plays. I could toss in another running back. I only have 2 so far. I love the guys I have, but same bye week. Not that get bye week's another thing that he talked a lot about in that article. Love that value on Richardson, by the way. There now he's officially the starter. So I like Toney and Gibson, even though not a ton of correlation added there. Week 17, you got the Bengals versus the Chiefs. Like that's obviously a game that people are going to go bananas for, as they deservedly should. That's a game, week 17, another obvious one. Detroit and Dallas, a good game to stack. We talked about Miami, Baltimore, Green Bay, Minnesota. Maybe Tua would make sense for me, but I worry about Tua. I do. I'm guessing Cubba will take him here when he has Tyreek Hill anyways. Green Bay, Minnesota, one I like. In terms of it's often an ugly stack that ends up getting it done. Like, what about Buffalo, New England? What if this New England team is better? So Josh Allen teams, I've snuck in some Devontae Parker late. I realize I'm covering up the picks, so let me scroll up here. So the guys I was hoping for, Odell. Let me get out of this. Maybe I just bank on Kadarius Toney here. I don't hate the Evan Ingram, but I already have Mark Andrews, so I got like an elite tight end. I'm gonna go Toney. I need the receiver juice here between Kupp, obviously an anchor, but the rest of these guys, some old veterans. It's this old veteran squad going to really get it done. It's kind of ugly. Godwin, Thomas, maybe Toney can bring a little electricity to this group. And now, again, I'm going to be on the radar for a Daniel Jones, that week 17 matchup. I do love Romeo Doubs with minimal correlation to anything I'm doing here, but big into him. So you can always talk about player values. Get Zay Jones in, stack the quarterback a little bit. I definitely need to start getting some weapons here. Maybe Ingram does fall another round because he often goes to the team with Trevor Lawrence. Play the ADP game there, maybe. But getting a quarterback that I can also stack with late here, Daniel Jones would be a great option. And there he goes. Of course. This is a nice team. That's 2 of my favorite quarterback combos right there. Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, Barkley, Etienne, Pacheco, a nice looking backfield. Staff looking pretty solid here. DJ Moore, Evans, Elijah Moore, the Moore brothers. Looking solid. That's a team I am a fan of. Staff. A good way to build around Travis Kelce, that's for sure. So let me know what you guys think of the team so far. Ugly receivers, I understand that. Old aging veterans, though. They're not sexy. Kupp, Hopkins, Godwin, Thomas, Kadarius Toney. But all those guys, if they can shake off the crust and the rust, they could be legit players here. So we got Spags going to Njoku, Dubs. Dubs, probably looking at Jordan Love, Christian Watson stack later. Got the Watson stack going with Njoku, so that's solid. I do like that I have Trevor Lawrence. I often get Daniel Jones, and I love that. Again, I think he's going to be the steal of drafts this year. But I don't mind having a nice little Trevor Lawrence. I just got to get some correlation related to it now. Ingram would have been the play, but I already have Andrews. It's tough. All righty. Zay Jones would be a little early here. I don't hate Penny, even though he's behind Gainwell right now. It's not my favorite pick. I'll go Bigsby, actually. Stack the Jags offense. Penny goes anyway, so it makes my decision even easier. If Etienne goes down, handcuff with benefits. Bigsby looks great. I think he's going to have a role anyways. They say his role will grow as the year goes. That's want those week 17 fresh guys. Youth is off in the way to balance out this crusty old team. Youth is off in the way. You want to go there. And I think I can get a little Zay Jones action and start building around the Jags here. Unexpected. Didn't think I was going to go into the draft with that plan. I don't hate it at all, though. I wouldn't hate adding some Dolphins to balance out my Mark Andrews. I was hoping for Odell Beckham where I got Tony. I would have much preferred Tony. Beckham, rather. But I was also drafting Tony when he was going at 70, and then he got hurt and it plummeted. So, Bombadil had to take Zay. Looks like we're back to the drawing board here. Let's see what we got. I'm not a huge Boyd fan. I mean, Pirine intrigues me. I need some running back depth here. Who can most help me out here? Nico Collins would balance out the Henry stack. That give me a little week 17 action and a little more youth again. Could definitely use that. So maybe I'll go with Nico. So I like Pirine, but I don't know that it does much for me. And there's definitely, it is getting ugly at running back out here, though, huh? If anything happens to, I'll go Nico. I'm going to balance out the Texans. I'm going to look for my boy Tank Dell, reach on him a little bit early. Want to keep bumping that exposure. Rashee Rice, doubling into the receiving core there. Damian Harris, a guy that's fallen, and understandably so, but at a certain point, I think he could become a nice value. James Cook's the darling of the day, but P. Ryan goes to Pete. He's got a pretty robust backfield. Dobbins, McCaffrey, Rashad White. I would be shocked to see him take another running back, which is also something you want to keep a note of. Is where your opponent's strengths definitely a thing you want to keep monitoring. That's what Underdog allows better than anybody. You can just look up here. I hate the platform for DraftKings. Here you can just see like what other teams have done and follow along with that. I do like the Nico Collins as well, just because that's another division matchup for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if they face off in the playoffs, but keeping it in division, game stacks become more and more regular, higher chance for blow up nuclear. So I like Nico Collins there. I think that was a solid pick. P. Ryan, I don't know that it adds much to this team. You have Mixon and Henry. You're relying on them most weeks. By week 7, Javante's probably full go, unless he's hurt. The P. Ryan would be great. This could be a good moment for Mostert should he fall to me. I don't hate taking stabs on any Eagles backs, though. Gainwell, the man of the moment, the belle of the ball right now. But I think getting in on these, so week 17, definitely got some Panthers, given that they're facing the Jags. You want them either chasing points or going after it. Definitely could be looking at Stafford. Jeff, the talk was Jacobs going to end his holdout, and then there's a report that he commented on it. No, who said that? So that's something to look at. I like Juwan Johnson to keep the Saints Bucks stack going. I got to keep Draftman's correlation in mind. I think this is it really helps decide on these ADP spots. So I'm going to go Higbee here. Did Mostert go, though? He did. So I need the running back more. I'm going Gainwell. The Eagles' backfield is just one of those conundrums that I don't know that there'll even be a clear answer on best ball. Just having one of them is a nice piece. I think Penny will blow up some weeks. I think Swift is the one I'd prefer. Damn. But I can get Juwan later. It's not an end-all, be-all that I had to get Juwan. I mean, Tyler Higbee there. Again, I know I'm doing a best ball draft, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. If you're tuned into me here, yeah, by all means, I'd be happy to help you out. So now it's going to be a bit till I have a question. Tunes, rumors Penny might get cut. I saw some stuff like that, Tunes. He's behind the fourth string guy right now, behind Boston Scott even. I doubt that. And even if he does, I imagine he'll get picked up. We've seen him finish the year as the literally running back you had to have a couple seasons ago, the running back one in the fantasy playoffs. So there's upside, especially behind this line, even if he got cut. But obviously you're drafting him hoping he does not. I'm going to see if I can edit this layout just a little bit. I feel like I'm in the way. And maybe I can move myself down. Make myself smaller. Hey, there we go. Take up less of the screen with this ugly mug. I'll save that. Oh, on the clock. Fuck. There goes Rashee Rice. I think to me, I'll take that youth. Again, 14 pick discount right there. I know I was a little distracted, but Tony, maybe it's a little bit of a hedge if Tony's hitting the ceiling, Rice isn't. But if Tony's out all year, Rice could just have 9 catches for 86 yards. There's a chance that role could definitely evolve as the year goes on. So that's probably who I would have gone despite the auto draft kind of sucking there. Now I'm up to 7 receivers. So this is where you start to enter that range of diminishing returns. And you want to start crafting the team around some other potential narratives. So what I'm going to be looking to do, I might add one of these Panthers guys should they fall. Thielen, DJ Chark to round out that week 17 correlation with the Trevor Lawrence stack here. Through 10 rounds, here we go. Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon, round 4. Hopkins, round 5. Godwin, round 6, just falling about 9 spots below his ADP. Setting up maybe a narrative where I'll go after Saints as well for week 17 correlation. So I got that correlated with Michael Thomas. Trevor Lawrence, just 13 picks below ADP, wasn't part of the plan, and then he was. I couldn't pass that up. So I went with him. Tony, similarly, I was hoping for Odell to kind of go with some more Ravens with Mark Andrews there, but ultimately he goes the pick before me. I settle on Tony, given that I have some exposure at a much higher price, kind of round out the profile. Maybe I'm chasing a sunk cost, but there's definitely upside. I mean, there was a talk he was going to be the next great wide receiver 1 for this team. So I'm not too concerned there. Bigsby going with my Jags. Nico Collins within that division, but also facing off against Henry, who I should add Texans in week 17. We know his history. It was he averaged like 220 yards and 3 touchdowns a game against him. Probably the guy you need to have. One strategy that we'll see where he goes off the board, but handcuffing is usually not recommended in these leagues. I could see this being a situation, and he's already gone, Tajay Spears. I'm not opposed to doing Spears and Henry teams where Henry's a monster carrying you, scoring a ton. And then if he goes down, I think this production will be just as fine with Spears. Maybe not. He's a different back than Henry, but you saw the take breakaway speed on that 33-yard touchdown. He hurdles a guy. If he was here, I would have considered handcuffing him. He's not. And so I won't. But this might be my last receiver pick here. Maybe I take DJ Chark. I could always go 9 receivers, but that feels a little bit diminishing. I mean, you got Cooper. I don't know. We'll see. I like the guys I have, and I certainly don't need more than 2 tight ends or 2 quarterbacks. So I guess we'll see what running back values fall. I love my top 2 guys. I don't feel the need to force in 6 running backs. This does feel like a 6 running back team. I'm going to go DJ Chark, though, and kind of round this out Pete does complete his charge, or rather 49er stack. Solid stuff there. Like this could be a good time to look at Stafford, 15 picks below value. I like getting Juwan Johnson, but I think getting Stafford is more valuable to this team. And Juwan Johnson goes anyways. I would have liked that correlation with the Saints, Bucks. Love the hype coming out on him, but clearly not meant to be. Higbee did go to Cubba, which makes me worried, but he has Mahomes and Cousins. I can't imagine. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll surprise. I hope not. But this would be where I'd like to get Stafford. Samir White's a nice pick there too. I will take Stafford here. Round out the quarterback room, 7 picks below ADP, stacks up Cup. A-okay with me. Wish I had a few more, whether it was Van, whether it was Higbee. I'll look at Kyron Williams late. That could be a nice way to get some Rams correlation in here. I think it's a fantastic balance to this team, actually. He's a guy I've loved late, and makes sense that I actually have him in a lot of teams with the Giants. So, if he's the guy, I remember Sony Michel a couple of years ago was the backup running back there. So that could be the play. Pete goes Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy. Probably going to be a 3 QB build there, I imagine. Fun to draft with Overzet. Love to see it. I'm a big fan of this team, taking the value where it falls, so not forcing stacks, but then playing strategic stacks as well. I'd like to get Trevor Lawrence with a couple more pieces. Who even late though? It's that's the one thing there. Maybe I gotta start getting more Christian Kirk where I took Hopkins. I would have gone Kirk had he been there. He was gone. But that can set up some more narratives to get Jag stacks. I think I always was like, why is Kirk going so high? But it just gets you that offense to build around. He has plenty of spike weeks. So in terms of, I'll probably go Tank Dell, round out, if he falls, I'll go Tank, kind of round out the wide receivers here, go with that week 17 correlation with Tenry, with Hopkins, hope for that game just to go bananas, for Stroud to really hit his own by the end of the season, and Tank Dell's just ripping up big plays. So it'd be a big fall. He's kind of the buzzy guy at the moment, but hey, if he falls here, I would absolutely lock him in. That would be, there he goes, my 9th receiver. So is Kareem Hunt signed yet? Yeah, I could see the Colts coming back calling there. That could be an interesting name to add to a otherwise fairly shaky running back room. Imagine the Colts, they worked him out a bit. I do like Paris Campbell and Darius Slayton, so I'm going to cue those guys up for the next pick. But I'm gonna toss in Kareem Hunt. I do need a backup tight end, so I like Conklin. It doesn't correlate with anything, but Deion Jackson's a nice one too. I wonder if he's the play over Kareem Hunt. The fact that Hunt still hasn't signed, I just wanted to toss him in there. I'm going to go Conklin if he's there, just because it's a big drop off at tight end, and Slayton was the other one I was hoping for. And this will set me up well for a Kyron Williams pick. So I got my two quarterbacks, my 2 tight ends. I have the flexibility to go wide receiver late if I want to here, and I do like Kendrick Bourne really late at wide receiver should Kyron Williams be gone. I'm going to cue him up. Sam Howell late. I mean, if he's I can't imagine Pete would pass him up. Paris Campbell's a really interesting one. I went Conklin, but Campbell he'd correlate with the Stafford, the Ram stack. get me a piece of the Giant side at least. That might have been the play over Conklin and just like settling for Taysom Hill still sitting out there. That could be an upside. Just like you got Andrews. You don't need to talk yourself into Taysom Hill. Come on. But Bourne and Kyron Williams feel like two guys that aren't really getting drafted. Harris Campbell is in. So this will be an interesting. Let's see who falls. Let's not make picks before they get to us. Howell looked great last night, though. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to taking him if Pete doesn't, but I can't imagine on a 2 QB team. I think he's looking for a quarterback either way, and he would definitely correlate the 49ers Commanders is my guess. So we'll just see who falls. Kyron's probably my top pick. Gets the coordinate the stack with Stafford, week 16 correlation, or week 17 rather. Just kind of build up that Rams offense. I didn't get any of the run back there, but that stacks that offense up a little bit more. Would have liked to see more correlation with Lawrence, but that's why I got DJ Chark at a value nonetheless too. I think that's nice. I might fire up another one after this. I don't know about if anybody. Again, any questions? Much appreciated. I haven't said it yet, but use code RSJ if you haven't played on Underdog. It's one of my favorite plays. If you want to take that leap into best ball, I'll soon record, maybe at some point today, just best ball 101, where to play, Underdog, how to play, different strategies. I don't want to just be like 101 because if you're watching this stream, you probably you're on Underdog already. But I'll get into some strategies a little more organized than I was today. Just really type it out, iron it out. So it can be nice and clear for you guys. All right, let's see. How are we going to round this thing up? I mean, I love the value on Paris Campbell here. It correlates well. Receivers, definitely a question mark. I have a hard time not taking him. Now I got a run back there, and it's a great value playing the ADP game. He's a starting slot receiver. I mean, Richie James was a no-brainer, must-draft type of guy. Puka would have been a good one to stack with Stafford too, but I like this run back better. Kyron Williams would have made sense for a depleted, but I got to lean on Mixon and Henry and just hope for the best. Man, yeah, that might have been the play. Kyron gets correlation with the team, gives a position of weakness. I guess we could just fire up another one and see what happens. So let's just kind of rip through that last team as this draft is loading. As you can see, I have quite a few teams drafted. No judgment. Let's view the full draft here. And I'm just going to pull up my phone to get a sense of when the next one's going to start. Drafts, active starting in 40. Oh, 101. There we go. I never get the 101. I will take it. Hey, maybe that's the influencer bump they all always talk about, huh? Pumped to see that. So I'll review the team that I just drafted after I get into. I don't want to have people waiting on me. So I'll make my Jefferson pick. I'm not going to. Spite the fantasy gods and not take the guy you should be taking if you're blessed with the 101. Justin Jefferson, baby. So let's see how this next team comes out. But I'm going to go back to that last draft, 22 picks away. I'll open that. Yeah, I'll just instead of bouncing around. So let's just go into this draft. Name it. So we went Cup one, the fourth pick of the first round. Cup, Henry, Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Hopkins, Chris Godwin, Trevor Lawrence falling around 7, couldn't pass it up. So now I'm suddenly stacking that offense. Mike Thomas to balance out that Godwin, Mike Thomas, the Saints versus Bucks, week 17. Kadarius Toney just felt like too good of a value. I did want Beckham more to add to my Ravens, but wasn't meant to be. And then we got Tank Bigsby balancing out the Jags a bit. Nico Collins within division. Also Derrick Henry, week 17 correlation. Just always trying to get at least one piece of the Eagles backfield. Swift, Penny, Kenny Gainwell. Penny probably my least favorite at cost. I have the most of him, and unfortunately, the most of him. It sounds like he could be getting cut, or at least on the 4th string. But even if he's 4th string, he needs one start, 30-point day, and boom, he's off to the races. Like, he might do nothing. He did nothing all just 2 years ago. And then the playoffs, he was the guy. Gainwell goes down, Swift, as always, gets hurt, whatever it might be. That could be the thing you need. Then receiver value just kind of fall into my lap. I had Toney, but I still wanted to go Rice. Maybe hedging a little bit, but if I get the wide receiver one, it probably is Sky Moore. But what if it's one of the other two guys? Like that, Chark, week 17 with Trevor Lawrence, bouncing that out. Stafford stacking up Cup, buying that bounce back. Hunt was kind of like, I'm hoping Indy goes after him. I have none of him yet. He might be a starting running back. Deion Jackson could have been that play too, assuming JT gets traded. Then you got Conklin getting my second tight end, a guy that there's no correlation there, but I just love the value on him. I think he'll have some spike weeks with Aaron Rodgers, what was that guy's name? Tunyon Light, potentially Robert Tunyon, where he had 12 touchdown season. Conklin's not quite the athlete that Tunyon was, but he's had some great games. His splits, the splits of Garrett Wilson, for example, get published all over the place. How much better Garrett Wilson was without Zach Wilson, with any other quarterback. Same with Elijah Moore, right? Conklin was too. It just doesn't get talked about as much. So I think Conklin's a great value where he goes. I'm in Paris Campbell, 194 ADP. Get him at 213, a guy I've loved to wrap up drafts with. Also builds in the correlation with the Rams there. All about it. So I like that team a ton. I'm now going to go back to this active draft. Go to the full board. And let's let this thing rip. So I went Jefferson first, 101. How to draft from the 101, baby. A lesson on the roof. We got Chase, McCaffrey, Tyreek, Kelsey, Cup falling all the way to 6. Great value there. Took him at 4 in my draft. I think he's well worth that pick now that we know he's back at practice, ready to go. I still don't get it. Bijan over Eckler. I don't get it. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I get the ceiling is certainly there, but if he does what Eckler did the last 2 years, you'd love it. Is there really that much concern with Eckler being too old? 39 touchdowns in 2 years? The guy's an elite touchdown scorer, and the offense is going to be that much better this year. So it doesn't make sense to me. In fact, I'm trying to bump my Herbert up a ton. I think I love the Kellen Moore narrative. I love that Brandon Staley's not getting in his way, just letting the man cook. Mike McCarthy, the only time that this offense wasn't first in points and yards was when last year Mike McCarthy got in the way, or when Dak got hurt. They were pace. They were. I don't talk about a guy I don't even have yet, but I might be looking at a Mike Williams at 48, Herbert 49 type of situation. Again, that research, that huge diminishing returns at the draft capital spent at receiver is almost always more valuable. Was big. If I can stack up, there goes Waddle. I was hoping he'd fall to me. I don't hate T when I don't love stacking up T and Jamar. I know it's the Bengals. To me, that's diminishing returns. If one blows up, the other probably isn't. They've historically never had blowups together. Wouldn't hate a Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts stack, going quarterback a little earlier than expected. Could run that back. The week 17 correlation there. There goes Henry. I do like getting Henry. Damn, there goes Devonta as well. The Eagles, I thought was going to be an onslaught at Cardinals, but you could balance it out. I love some of my favorite picks are Marquise Brown. Kyler Murray at cost isn't bad. All righty. So, man, find ourselves in a tricky spot. I am going to go Taylor. I have no Taylor right now. I I'm going to hope that him getting his trade request in is going to really help. Is this where I go Ridley as well? I have some great Jalen Hurts teams, but I just can't stack it. This might open up Trevor Lawrence later. Yeah, we're going to go Ridley. Taylor and Ridley. So week 17-wise, we're now looking – not everything has to be week 17, but balance it out. Jefferson would be the Packers. Ridley, as we just did last time, would be the Panthers. He's going early. I mean, this is going to be a tough ADP to pay off, but I sure think he could. I love that build. McCaffrey, Devonta, Jalen Hurts. So Taylor's a tough one. I don't have a lot of him at all. He's low in my rankings. But if he gets traded to the Chiefs, if he gets traded somewhere, or just comes back now that he'll actually play for him and it's Jonathan Taylor again, I know Richardson's probably not a great thing for his value. That's why I've been fading him, is if he's just getting his goal line touches vultured. But now the trade opens up. What if he goes to the Dolphins? Good God. The Chiefs. Definitely some teams that he could land on that would just be immense values. You could definitely see any contender talking themselves into we're a Taylor away and pushing all the chips in to go get it. I love that Cup Waddle, Josh Allen at pick 30. Stud QB could have been the way to go. Getting a Jalen Hurts in the profile wouldn't hurt, but we're going after Trevor Lawrence stacks today, it seems. Definitely into that offense, just absolutely going bonkers. So the Colts get the Raiders. Very bad run D last year in week 17. So if he is stuck with the Colts, that still could be a solid situation. This does maybe Richardson. You just take smashing Colts. Touchdown chances for everybody. Just monopolize the ground game there. That could be an option later in this draft. Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, high upside pairing at quarterback. I wouldn't hate that at all. So Jefferson, Taylor, Calvin, Ridley to start this one. Would have preferred Henry. Pollard, remember the days where he was going at like 24? Whew. That was the best. I'm intrigued by what Kool-Aid's doing. Even though, again, all the research says receivers early is the best bet by far. Eckler, Pollard, I mean, that backfield could be very tough, very dangerous. I love how I like talking about Kirk Cousins for Justin Jefferson stacks. Obviously, it's more than okay, and that's typically what the route will be. But the other thing with these is like stacks are crucial, but it's also a good way to differentiate. Everybody has Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, so you go Daniel Jones, Jefferson, and those are the two that go bananas in week 17. Jefferson goes crazy. He's probably carrying Kirk there too, though. But it's just those little edges. What if Daniel Jones just has a 35-pointer and is that much better, and every other team has Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, and you have both? Yeah. Looks like the Justin Herbert stack won't be happening. Viking man sniping him from me. We got another question. Hey, nice. Good to see some people here. That thumbs up button does help us get out to more people, so please do consider it. Never under judgment, if you're among friends here. I love it. Good to see you, Charlie. Love to have legends here on the stream. No judgment, but any thumbs up do really greatly help us get out there. If you're new, and consider subscribing to the pack. We're trying to hit to 4K this summer. Be awesome. Just climbing along. Would be very greatly appreciated. I'm just going to keep bumping this up so I'm getting out of the way here. You guys can just keep seeing who's going. So a couple builds. Lamb, Adams, Mixon, Najee. I think that's a great start. Every year is different, so the history would say that it's a lot of capital on running backs, and we'll see what Easy Money Better does from here. I think that's great, though. You go heavy receiver early and stack up a couple of those potential 270 touch guys, and obviously a great offense for Mixon and maybe an ascending one for Najee. Warren does preseason week 2 riser of the week, right? He worries me. He played more early down snaps than he ever has in early preseason, but I think Najee will still be. It's Tomlin workhorse. I will believe is dead when I see it. So he's not a guy I'm fading like a lot of people might be. All right, up in 5 picks. Running backs are flying off the board. So let's see here. 4-way. I mean, I'd love to get DJ Moore, Watson, and Brees Hall at this value would be pretty sick. I don't have a lot of Brees Hall, but this is where you start to take the stabs on him. By weeks 7, he's just Brees Hall again. Dalvin reportedly looks good, but this would be if I can get 2 of these 4. There goes one of them. You could definitely stack up Hawkinson here. Get Jefferson correlation. Damn it. I love Watson. That would have been nice. And here goes Brees. Would love 2 of those. If I had to open my mouth. All right, I'll take Brees this late. Fuck it. This is like the exposure team that I don't have a lot of. Taylor, Brees Hall, not a lot of them. Guys that I'm worried that I don't have a lot. So the all contrarian lineup here. Hawkinson would make the most sense, but I don't love him at cost compared to some of the other guys we could get. I'm gonna go Ayuk, just a receiver I love. No correlation there. Week 9 buys. Oh well. I do like Commanders late, so I could start to create that Week 17 correlation between them. They have unknowingly done a lot of that so far in my early drafts. A lot of Ayuk, Debo, Antonio Gibson, Dotson. I'd love Dotson to make it back here. That might be Trevor Lawrence time as well, assuming he falls. Stack up Ridley. Start to bump that exposure. I'm all about it. Love Waller, but I doubt he'll fall. He's a guy I was getting a ton. He was going like 80 just about a month ago. Now he's up to the 50s, so you always feel good when you can get that ADP discount. Pierce would be an interesting one if he fell. Obviously, Lockett, Godwin. I'm intrigued by that Saints-Bucks like late stack. It's ugly, but we've seen those games shoot out, and Baker can hold his own. Marquise Brown could be a faller. That would have worked well if I had gone Jalen Hurts to stack up that one. This would Sanders would definitely be a nice balance out to Trevor Lawrence and the Jags, week 14. Practicing in full, so he's back. 3 down, back in a ideally ascending offense. That could be a nice pick. Correlates with my quarterback potentially. We'll see. We're up in 16, so we got a while to go. So I'm just going to name my there goes Trevor Lawrence. Was hoping, and somebody snipes him. Was it the Christian Kirk team? No, I didn't even have Christian Kirk. Just someone to me just saw the opportunity, although he didn't have the value that I got on him. But I'm just going to name my other team. T-Law, old wide receivers, pick 4, 2592, Andrews. I did actually really like that team, though. This is more the one that's like a contradictory. Like players that I don't have a lot of that if Taylor becomes the guy you need, I want at least one shot. Brees Hall, don't have a lot of him, but 48, he becomes the guy you need. I don't mind this team at all. Jefferson, Ridley, Ayuk, plenty of nice capital at the receiver position with 2 upside running back stabs later. The Trevor Lawrence team probably is targeting Christian Kirk here. Smart play. So Madison, that would be an interesting one because that would correlate Jefferson. I'm not a diehard in Addison at his price. Like Javonte, I am into James Cook as one of the biggest risers of this preseason. No tight end yet, so Goddard, it doesn't make a ton of sense for me, but James Conner, Kamara, any of these running backs that end up falling. Like I said, I always like an Eagles guy. White, Moore. I'm just going to kind of stack the queue here, and then we'll sift them out as to which ones matter and make the most sense for this squad. Sutton. You like division guys, so Khalil Herbert at running back could be an intriguing pick. Gibson, not a division guy, but stacking with Ayuk. Maybe a little Howell, late action. There goes Marquise Brown, big fan. Odell. Richardson at QB. And just bank on this offense smashing with him, going nuts. Big risk there, too. There goes Dotson, too. That was kind of my real hope. From the Trevor Lawrence squad. I'm surprised you didn't go Christian Kirk at value. I would not turn to – I know I have Ridley. I'd have a hard time turning that down, though. Just having that offense go nuclear this year. Maybe run that back with Bryce Young and hope he's something. So we might have our pick of a couple of tumbling running backs. Dobbins going way too late, too. 13's a tough bye week, huh? I mean, receivers just got completely ripped out from under us. So I'm not opposed to an old two running backs here. I think Sanders balances out Ridley for some week 17 action. I prefer Williams to Dobbins, but I have very minimal Dobbins exposure. And that offense is just cooking. So I like the value I'm gaining on him. This is the draft of guys you want to bump the portfolio up a little bit on. I think when you start Jefferson, Ridley, Ayuk, 3 of your first 4 picks a receiver, you can buck the golden rule a little bit, where it's you want 4 receivers through your first 7 picks. Really, I'll jump that down to 8 picks, right? And maybe Elijah Moore falls, Cortland Sutton. I don't hate. Who do the Broncos? They get a decent. It's a Chargers, right? So that's intriguing too. We'll see who falls. Could definitely start stacking in some Ravens. Odell. I think the receivers in that range, the Suttons. I know a lot of people probably on the never again train with him. Can't say I blame you. We do need, despite having some good capital running back, though, between Taylor, Breece Hall, like insane players, insane talents, and that's kind of what we're banking on here. Breece Hall might need a few weeks, though, so I don't mind a little bit earlier building around a narrative that he might need some time to get himself healthy. And then Rex things up down the stretch. Could definitely see that. So I'm not opposed to adding like one more running back right now. If a Javonte, I mean, I like Montgomery. These guys look like we're still 16 away, so don't jinx it. I don't mind Sky Moore though. It all comes down to that correlation. Dotson would have been a real nice guy at 72. He went 65. I want more and more of him. So let me know who you guys consider at this point. Look at the draft board. Who's been some picks you love? think that was late for Gibbs. So let's see, Pete, where did Gibbs end up going? Yeah, 42 is late. I mean, I like him. He often goes in this area here. So yes, I absolutely love that. That's a nice start to a team. Diggs, Olave, Lamar, Gibbs, Jones, Pierce, like all three of those backs. I don't like Pitts. I am not on the Pitts rebound train. Every other pick that Sock 5 has made, I'm a fan of, though. And that's a nice value to get on Goddard. So Hurts team must have passed. He did. Surprised a little bit by that. I could have considered Pittman. Rookie quarterbacks and receivers typically. There was a tweet about it. There hasn't been like a top 35 one in quite some time. A wide receiver one for a rookie QB, and that's including like good, real accurate throwers. Richardson, for all the upside he brings, we're not going to be writing novels about his accuracy. He's the type of guy that makes sense here because I obviously can't stack Ridley. I would like a Richardson, Purdy maybe, but Richardson, Kirk Cousins, that could make sense. This is a good range to start considering Anthony Richardson for this build. But again, I might be just playing the game that Taylor gets traded. Like I don't have to build, and that actually wouldn't even hurt Richardson. So you know what? Like I think Richardson does make a lot of sense as it kind of wins either way. If he plays really well, Taylor's doing better because Taylor's still there. He's happy to be with this new exciting quarterback. If Taylor gets traded, legitimately everything goes to Anthony Richardson. So that would be the upside narrative. Man, I'm going to have a hard time passing on some of these running backs if they make it all the way back, as much as the rules say not to. You got to almost like rein yourself in and say, no, listen to the rules. But between all these guys, a lot of intrigue. And a lot of the receivers I was hoping for getting plucked right before my eyes. Do I just hold strong and not even go QB? I definitely won't go down, but I will not be playing in my Breece Hall strengths here. Wouldn't hate Pacheco should he fall. And that might be the last running back I take at that point. That'd be 5 that I feel great about. Beckham, Tony. I could go receiver. I like Khalil Herbert in division. Fucking Beckham. So you have Lamar. What's going on there? Oh, just wants a good receiver. Making sure to get his guys. I don't hate that. There goes Pacheco. Oh man, we're gonna be. I think Richardson's becoming a clearer priority for this team. Maybe Tony. I don't mind going Khalil here, though. I know he's getting steamed, but I think he's getting steamed for very, very good reason. Another one of those guys like to keep bumping the ownership on. There he goes. Right on cue. Watson's not a guy I have a ton of, and not a guy I'm very interested to have a ton of. Gibson might be my last running back here. It correlates with Ayuk. The way quarterbacks have fallen, part of me just wants to play the game and just let him. Nah, I'm going to go Richardson. Because either way, a big year helps this team. And then this will be a 2-5-9er, but this does stack up. 5. Don't need any more running backs. The law of diminishing returns is probably here to hit me in the face now, but I'm not a Bateman fan. Tony, I would have liked there. There's some upside to that. Dubs would have been a nice one. He's no way he makes it back to me. Juju late, though. Now we're starting to get out of our correlation range. We'll certainly go after some Panthers to keep going with the Jaguars narrative here. Definitely want to try to get some late Green Bay guys here. Jaden Reed, Luke Musgraves, for example. Those could be some guys. But I can start building around, Sam Howell could be a late guy now. This could be a 3 QB for sure. Richardson, Howell, Purdy. Stack up a few different narratives here. Raz, I think he goes Daniel Jones, my guy of the year. He already had Tua. Hey, stacking up Darren Waller, though. Darren Waller and Mark Andrews. That's an interesting team here. Tyreek. He's got that's a very creative build there. Give him that. He's got some nice values in Pacheco and Kirk. I like what Raz is doing there. I mean, Watson's still falling here. Tony's still falling. So, we'll play the value game. I think at this point, it's going to be hard not to go Kirk Cousins if he falls to me. Gives a nice steady backup to Richardson as well. So I can play those swings, get the huge weeks for Richardson, and then a nice 18 to 22 from Kirk Cousins. Week in and week out. There goes Tony. But getting some nice receivers on this squad would not hurt. I think the receiver pool is deeper than people are giving it credit for this year. It wasn't for a while, at least. Tank Dell going late. Oh, man. So through our first 9, we've got the 101 ideal team build, maybe. Jefferson. Rebounding on Jonathan Taylor's upside, whether he gets traded, whether he comes back happy and motivated and Richardson takes off. I kind of team stacked those two there. Calvin Ridley, it's at a premium to pay right now. I love the player. I love the offense. I was hoping to set up a Trevor Lawrence, right in this range. I've fallen, but he went, a full round earlier than I expected. I got him at 76 last draft. So, yeah, whatever. Didn't work out there, but I could definitely be looking at Brock Purdy a little bit later. Breece Hall. So this has become a team, and a big strategy too is you do want to balance your portfolio. I've had the years where there's just the player you need. Jonathan Taylor a couple of years ago was that, and I was fading him, and I just didn't, despite loving the player. He could absolutely rebound. Breece Hall could absolutely come back after a couple of weeks and be Breece Hall of last year. It was a monster. With Rodgers now at QB, I mean, this could be a huge explosive offense. So no issues there with Breece Hall. Guys I want to bump up that I like the player, haven't been drafting, but don't want to miss out completely. So those are some guys I'm trying to bump up the exposure to anyways. Works out. Who the Jets do have, I think they have Cleveland in the last week. That would have been a nice Deshaun Watson draft. Oh, I had that question pulled up, blocking it. Skithrow, what do we got for you? Let's see. In best ball, they have an 8-hour per thing. How many days does that take? The slow drafts? I don't do slow drafts, Skithrow, rather. Sorry. It's not my style. I'd rather just log in, bang out a draft. I hate having that always hanging over my head. So I don't really ever do those. But, yeah, the Jets do get the Browns. So that could have been interesting to take Watson alongside Richardson, back-to-back QBs. They do take it takes a decent amount of time. There's been Skithrow some slow drafts that just bang out in a day, and you're like, whoa, okay, this one's really been active. But you get what you sign up for, and I have too much ADHD. I can't sit there and wait for them, and I get too excited and they kill me. So they take a while. Still well worth doing if you have the patience, and that's your best way to do it because you don't have I'm a teacher. I have summertime off, and I can squeeze some of these in and justify it as making content for the site. So you got to do you. I prefer the fast myself. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Jets Browns. So I mean, maybe a little Jerome Ford late. Something happens to Chubb. Everybody's letting him fall now. That's got to be a good value on Ingram, right? Yeah, 22 spots of value. All righty. So we got 2 picks, and I don't love much of what we're seeing here. God. I'm going to go Schultz because we do need a tight end, and I am a fan of his volume guy. I would have liked Njoku to fall to me there. Damn. This is why I can't go too many running backs early. Maybe this is where we just like snipe Jalen Warren, though. Just a player we want to bank on. All right. 6 run. I've definitely reached the point where I cannot draft any more running backs. My receivers are going to get ugly fast. So I got to start going through the receivers and picking out. Alec Pierce, got to stack my boy. Whatever, if any, Panthers fall. I do love Jalen Hyatt, Tank Dell, Paris Campbell, Darius Slayton late. Hardman gets me a little more Jets action. So I think I'll be kind of just value hound chasing here. I just didn't love any of those players. I mean, Goff, another quarterback might have made sense. I do need to queue up Brock Purdy. Jordan Love makes some sense for that week 17 correlation. So what happened? I was not paying attention. Really, Kirk Cousins didn't fall to me. None of the receivers I was hoping to. Dubs goes 107. Juju goes there. Man, just got sniped on a lot of the guys. And I would have loved either Engram or Njoku, and both go ahead of me. So I don't mind Dalton Schultz there, but he's kind of ugly. I don't like Lazard at all. I don't think the receivers on the board, other than maybe Rashee Rice as well. We'll just kind of see who falls at this point. Pierce would make sense here, though. Stack up Richardson. I've also seen him fall like 180, though. So, like, he's a guy you could pass and then falls back to you. Myers falling wouldn't be a bad thing. A nice, safe, steady 10-point guy. Basketball is about finding the like volatility and finding those guys that, boom, like blow up the scoreboard. But then it's also getting just good values is crucial. Someone that's just going to be in your lineup a decent amount of weeks. Myers is. I am a big fan of Higbee. There's probably a 3 tight end build, but Higbee would open up me feeling okay about going just 2. Between him and Schultz, I think we'd get some pretty solid values. Some solid weeks, most weeks. Could always go like Jelani Woods at the last round type of thing. Goff, just in general, the week 17 looks great against Dallas, dome, playoff schedule, often in a dome with good matchups. So he's a guy that if he fell, I would not hate having like a nice veteran presence. Did I queue up Purdy? Yeah, I do love Purdy. So make sure he's in here as well. Love is right here as well. Could be a 3 QB, 3 tight end. So it'd be 6-6. Oh, no, because then it'd be only 6 receivers, and I would not feel great about that. I wouldn't hate it, though. There are some teams that advance pretty far with 6 receivers, especially with the early dedication to the position. Jefferson, Ridley, Ayuk. What do we got, Charlie? I've done a few skip through. It varies a lot, but usually a week or two. Not coming to see it go around a day if someone's asleep at the wheel. So that gives you a little more info. Skip through for somebody who is more experienced on the later round, the slow draft game. So thank you, Charlie. Appreciate that insight. Yeah, did not follow the research by Leone on this one, where the diminishing returns at running back. I just kind of hammered as I saw value falling at the position with Brees. I mean, I would wish T. Higgins had fallen here. I could have just gone 3 receivers because I don't love Taylor, but he might be the player you need. Between these 5-6 running backs now, I think most people that would have gone those 5 running backs would not have gone Warren there. And what if Najee gets hurt in week 17? You need Jalen Warren. So I have a good feeling that I'm going to get 3 good weeks out of these running backs these 6 guys. And I just am not going to touch the position the rest of the way. Osborne, that stacks up weak. I like him a lot. Ooh. So receiver, people are going to be receivered out at this point. 6 receivers, 7 receivers. This is where you can start to pluck some of these guys. I would have liked him there. I like Laporta. Definitely going to go Osborne. I feel like I have to wait on tight end a little bit longer here. Need to pluck a receiver. I feel great about Laporta in that offense, though, and with that beautiful playoff schedule. And this makes it so I could go 2 tight ends at this point. I just got to hope Alec Pierce falls. And I think most of the time he goes out of that range because that's right around where 157, that had been right around here, which is where Richardson had been falling to. Maybe Pierce will be gone, but I think there is a chance, dangle him out there, that he might fall back to me. I don't think there's anyone auto drafting at 10 a.m., so that's another thing. Like, he could end up being a great value there. So I'll bank on a good value falling to me here and just start ripping up receivers for these last few picks. You got to think most weeks Jefferson, Ridley, Ayuk are your 3 guys, and that these 6 running backs are holding down the fort. So I mean, I could go 6 receiver. I'm not going to force the issue here. I'm not going to go 7 running backs, but I could go 3-3, 6-6. An interesting build. More likely though, getting Laporta here, balancing out. I like Schultz. I know I was hoping for Njoku or hoping for Engram as they fell, but. Actually, I wouldn't go 7 running backs. Then Gainwell's still sitting there. I always like an Eagles running back, as you all know. I really want a receiver in Purdy here. I could see myself going 2 receivers, especially if Purdy's gone, but I would like to have a 2-6-5-2 build by the end of this round. Because Purdy, I would feel okay about having just 2 QBs. That would open up that flexibility that I don't have to have 3 QBs. A nice steady option like Purdy to balance out the volatility of Anthony Richardson. Similar to like these tight ends. None of them are crazy, but Laporta could have 2 touchdown spikes. Dalton Schultz will probably be like a 6 for 70 guy a lot of weeks. So I'll get points. There goes Pierce. I was hoping he'd fall to me, but I got greedy. I know the law would say too many running backs too early. But when Breece Hall is more of a down the road play, I think this depth does not hurt. Reed goes there. I should have queued up some more. I don't think there's many more backers to correlate by week 17. Musgrave would be one of them. So that could be a 3rd tight end to wrap this one up. He was going last round for forever. Curtis Samuel, that could be an interesting correlation. Who did ESPN scoreboard? I saw Howell threw a couple touchdowns. To the tight ends, like who ended up hauling those in? I got to check that out. Oh, Diami Brown caught a touchdown, huh? If that injury ends up actually serious for Terry McLaurin, Diami Brown, last one. Oh, let me Not great. Great about keeping the focus on the draft here. There you guys go. Another question so far, but keep them coming, Wolfpack. And again, if you're here watching the stream, the thumbs up button does mean the world. Figured you're going to be doing these drafts anyways. Might as well just stream them and talk some strategy. The Panthers guys are flying. Still wouldn't hate Thielen. No, he's not like the second. There goes Musgrave. Damn it. He correlates with Ridley. He could be touchdown guy. Fucking come on. Damn it. I am going to go Brock Purdy here. Stack up Ayuk. Get a nice balance. And I know it's a little bit of a reach, but I need receivers. Tank's not going to make it back to me. I'd like to go Tajay Spears here, but I already have. That's the definition of the diminishing returns with these running backs. I couldn't go Spears. That's who I would truly like to go, but I'm a fan of Tank Dell. He doesn't correlate much on this squad, but he could be one of those guys that just really outperforms where you get him. He's a guy I've drafted a ton of, so I've been avoiding him mostly lately, but I can definitely when you need a receiver, that's not one I hate going after. This could end up just being a 2-6-8-2 team, a classic build. Just end this draft with 4 straight receivers and hope you find the ones that hit. I like the Giants guys. I love Kendrick Bourne as a last pick. I'll tell you this. I would not pass up Tajay Spears if he somehow fell all the way back to me again. Don't think he will. But. Yeah, the Kareem Hunt one's an interesting one if he goes to Indy. That could be one like that you do stack with Taylor in the sense that like Taylor gets traded and you get their starting running back. I don't hate that. So last night's box score, I've checked out everything other than last night's. I did a preseason week 2 recap yesterday. Check that out. Lots of takeaways for sure. Looks like a fun game last night, though. Howell, 188, 2 touchdowns, ripping off 3 carries for 17 yards. Well, no, did he play about a half there? That's impressive. Dotson leading the way, 5 catches, 76. Terry also having 3 for 39, but then getting hurt. So Diami caught a touchdown. Jarrett Patterson. Gibson caught a touchdown. I imagine that was from Howell. Love to see that McKinnon roll. Tons of receiving touchdowns from McKinnon. Love it. Love that. I think that's going to be a fun one to stack is the 49ers Commanders game in week 17. It's disappointing to see Musgrave and then Thielen, 2 guys I definitely wanted over Tank Dell. As much as I like the Tank. Yeah, there goes Spears. What a value. I mentioned Jerome Ford. It balance out. Breece Hall correlates there, but I can't do another running back. The law of diminishing returns. I have to stay disciplined no matter what running back values I like. Wilson was an every snap player, right? Is that no targets, but every snap player. So he's an interesting late guy. It's Richie James, the chief that you need. Love that. I think he just balls. So I'm queuing up these receivers that could be pieces for me. I really like Kendrick Bourne. He was a guy that was going big time last year, got in the doghouse, and then never got out of it from Fat Matt Patricia. Piece of dirt. But the year before, what, 17 yards a catch, 80% catch rate. It was insanely efficient. So he's definitely a guy, receiver, I don't mind going after. And yeah, quarterback and tight end are going to be weak here. Richardson, Purdy. But I just want to keep stacking receivers on this team. Could be a 3-6-7-2 or a 2-6-7-3. I always like Conklin. That goes with the Brees Hall. We'll find out. Hayden Hurst would go with the Ridley. Have almost none of him, so. All righty. Campbell, Slayton, just two receivers I love that go late. I'm going to go Slayton, the star of training camp. More of a big play guy. Balance out. I already have about 25% exposure to Campbell. Maybe I just go on both because Hayden Hurst doesn't intrigue me. Knox does a little bit. I'm going to go Campbell. I think those guys, nice balance out the team. I know I don't have Daniel Jones, but I have a ton of him in my other draft, so it's kind of stacks those guys up and ensures my other teams are looking okay too. And then we just see what falls. I probably won't be a running back, but could be one of these receivers. I'll queue up Knox, somehow if he makes his way down to me. Maybe Ertz. Talk about the ugliest, most boring tight end group, but he's a guy and he's playing. Did likely he returns to practice. I like him as like a handcuff with benefits almost. Like we'll have a role himself, and if something ever happened to Andrews, even just 1 week, like if in the week 17, we've seen likely just go berserk. So he would probably be the most interesting of these tight ends. I have my safe guys. Like that could be my ceiling guy. But I think I like Kendrick Bourne here, going 2-6-8-2. One of my favorite types of roster constructions. It was one of the most common advanced rates. Just having faith that Richardson and Purdy can hold it down. And just having that depth at these other positions to always be getting points. I don't need it, though. I could absolutely be okay with my receivers as they are right now and snake in another tight end or QB. None of these QBs really intrigue me at all, though. None of them make sense with any of my options. CJ Stroud, I guess, with no, he makes sense with Tank Dell, with Dalton Schultz. So maybe I go Stroud. Just, but he's look meh. I have faith in him though. Rookies, this could be Stroud probably makes the most sense for this team. Richardson, Purdy, Stroud. Complete some stacks. Tennessee's pass D is atrocious too. So maybe that week 17, you need CJ Stroud throwing multiple touchdowns to Schultz and Tank. Oh, okay, I can get that. I can get behind that. The only thing a receiver that I look at, I don't ever want to play the bye week game. There goes Bourne, one of my guys, huh? Viking man drafting a lot of the guys I had queued up. Like this team. Herbert, Geno, Chubb, Barkley, like RB start, then wisely avoid the position, got great values and Spears and a little early on Wilson, but you got to get your guys at the turn. I'll go back to the Pick and Zay, Moore, all interesting stabs. Pierce, a guy I was hoping to get. Love Jaden Reed. He's sniped a bunch of these guys from underneath me. I don't know about getting Mac Jones there. Do you really need a third Viking man? Stacks up Kendrick Bourne, I guess, but I like the Bourne pick a lot. So for my build, I think the receivers I really liked gone. I'm going to go either Stroud or Likely. It won't be likely. Could go Woods as well. And stack up another guy with Richardson. I don't really have any pass catchers. He's the type of guy you can run naked, given you're really pursuing the rushing upside there. So we shall see. I do think that the Texans defense is going to suck, so that could be another just chuck fest. All right, let's see what falls. A lot of late running backup. Is it Malik Davis, the backup to Tony Pollard? I like Davis. Not really, though. I'd rather go Chandler. Jerome Ford, I think that's a nice value where Versailles got him. Patterson's been one of my favorite last round stats. That's early, though. I've gotten him like the last pick of drafts, so that seemed a little early for my liking. I think had Conklin fallen, I probably wouldn't have gone both Giants guys. I would have gone one of them and then left receiver open here. And then had Conklin as my third tight end. So I've rounded out a lot of drafts with him in that second to last round. This probably think Stroud definitely makes a little too much sense with the players I have and Dell, Schultz. That it makes sense to make this a 3 QB team as well. Correlated 3 QB stacks, week 17 were some of the highest expected value. If this team can sneak through the backbone of some solid running back plays and Justin Jefferson lug me to the finish line, baby. All righty, let's see. How's that not going through? Well, I took CJ Stroud. So I hope. All right. So this will bring us to the end of the draft. Quick review of the squad. So Jefferson first. I think he's always the 101. A lot of people get cute with Chase, and I get the narrative, but nah. Taylor, a guy I just don't have a lot of now that he could get traded. I worry less about the holdout risk. At the minimum, I think he would be willing to play for his team now that they're willing to at least listen. Ridley, a guy, it just came down to Devonta going ahead of my pick. Would have preferred them. But Ridley has all the upside in the world to emerge as the number one for an up-and-coming offense that I think could light the world on fire. I was hoping to create a Jag stack. Didn't happen. Breece Hall, not a guy similar to Taylor, a guy that I don't have a lot of and worry that he might ruin my portfolio. So trying to add on some Breece, some Taylor. Ayuk, just a guy I love. And I love late commanders. So that sets up that week 17 narrative there. Sanders, narrative, week 17 with Calvin Ridley facing the Panthers. Dobbins, I was hoping to get a Panthers receiver, but you'll see later they got ripped. Dobbins, another guy, not a ton of exposure. Could see him just dominating in that new offense, getting more catches, unique, just more explosive system, more touchdowns up for grabs. The thing about like Mark Ingram a few years ago when Lamar was playing at MVP level, I could see him returning. So I like Dobbins at a value. I like Gibson to compare with. Ayuk, it did make me a little, spending too much capital on running back early usually is not the play. And I then still follow that up with Jalen Warren just as one of the high upside stabs. It's been a receiver avalanche here, and I get it, but sometimes you got to zig with all the others are zagging. KJ Osborne, Tank Dell, Slayton, Campbell to round out the receiving core. I love my big three, 4 just kind of upside boom guys around them now. I like that Giants offense, even though it does week 13, I'm going to have 3 active receivers. Don't like that at all. But, once I had Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz, I couldn't not make Stroud my last pick. Purdy stacks up, with Ayuk, brings a little bit of balance to Anthony Richardson. I'm all about it. I think the squad turned out great. So I give that one a nice B, nice firm B. Could see it. It has a lot of the principles that you want. Early receiver capital, stacks around the board for the most part. And if Richardson is naked, that means it's a good thing because Taylor's traded and probably in a better home with some guys that I just needed to bump my portfolio on anyways. Boom. Love it. So that being said, if you got any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Otherwise, no, doesn't look like it. So Wolfpack, thanks for being here. We'll be live tomorrow morning again at 9 a.m. doing sleepers with my man Mo and the Truth. Our favorite guys, 2 quarterbacks each, 3 receivers each, 3 running backs, and then 2 tight ends each. So a bunch of sleepers we're going to be discussing, some honorable mentions as well. So if you like these morning shows, come on back 9 a.m. tomorrow. Thanks again so much. On the way out, that thumbs up button would be so greatly appreciated. Hope you enjoyed the stream. And until next time, Wolfpack and a world for fancy sheep, be the wolf. Find everything at roadstreetjournal.com. Fancy fullback dad.